Let me bring up Damien. Damien has something to say. Hi, Damien.
Hi, Ty. How are
How
you?
are, I'm fine. How are you? Oh,
I'm doing
Damien,
good.
do you
You
have, I
were
think you have
you were
me
talking
on
about Flip
two.
Wilson,
Wait.
and
You have me on two screens, I think. Turn me off on YouTube and just have me on StreamYard because we're getting the feedback.
how do I turn you off on YouTube?
Do you have like, are you on your computer
Oh
or,
yeah, oh, okay, I see.
yeah, like just close that tab.
We good?
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. So what do you have to say about Flip Wilson?
Okay, I mean, Flip came up in when did he come into prominence? The 40s and the 50s,
I would think more so the 60s.
the 60s. Yeah, that was still coming off of the 50s lynchings and all these things the black men went through. And you got one thing about it, any comedian, especially a man of color, he's a minstrel show backstage. All they want him for is laughs and money. So there's no telling what he was going through in his professional life. And then you have the pressure, whereas if the crowds diminish, it's because we have that color there. If the money's not coming in, it's because the color's not funny anymore. So he has that professional pressure, and then he has the financial pressure of maintaining his lifestyle and his family.
Well, let
So
me ask you a question.
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ty.
no. Okay. I'm getting feedback again. I don't know why. Okay. So Damien, the pressure in relation to what? Are you saying that it's the pressure that's causing him to act in a pedophilic way towards a
no,
14-year-old
I'm saying
girl?
as far as his first marriage and the drugs and sitting up in the bathroom with drugs and only calling down when he wanted something to eat. I think it was that part. And then he's still in the entertainment industry, even though he's making all this money, his family has fallen apart. So those are
So
things that
you're
would.
making excuses for this man.
No, you gotta let me finish. I'm not making any excuse for anything. I'm just pointing things out. I'm saying with him losing his family, that would drive him more into drugs, and the professional pressure only increased. So where would he have peace if he was high on drugs and going into a war zone every day?
Drug
The-
addicts are drug
Wait,
addicts.
you're calling being an entertainer a war zone when literally Vietnam was happening at this time? Like
Right.
my father is a Vietnam veteran. That's a fucking war zone. It's 1976. Okay. So being on stage dressed as a woman telling some jokes is not a war zone. I find that offensive as the daughter of a veteran.
Well, I apologize. Not a physical war zone, but a mental war zone, a
He
psychological.
was a wealthy man, though. He was
He's
wealthy.
well. He's wealthy, and the consequences. Do you think he wanted to do this as a woman?
Yeah.
Was that his idea?
Well, if he didn't, I don't care whose idea. He was a grown ass man, and he made the conscious decision to do that. You don't get to bow out of dignity and accountability for selling out just because you've had a bad life. Okay, there were also black women that came off of the same understanding that you were trying to give him an excuse for, that went through things, and they were not going around harming children and getting excuses made for them. Okay, you make no sense when you're talking about this, with all due respect, because number one, it's predatory. Number two, it's really offensive for you to say that basically because he was having a hard time, and like Ty said, it's an actual physical war going on, but we're supposed to be feeling sorry for someone who decided that he wanted to make a living by putting on dresses and makeup, and marrying Oriental women that he meets in the casinos, and professing his love for children. You're making too many excuses, and this is exactly why a lot of you guys have a really bad image, and people don't have a lot of respect or trust for black men, because you don't want to be accountable, and you want to sit up here and make an excuse for a rich celebrity being a dusty, being like a man like with absolutely no accountability, no boundaries or anything. That's ridiculous. I would think that you would want to protect your image as a Black man a little bit more and separate yourself from that, because you're not going to see anybody celebrating Jeff Epstein, celebrating Harvey Weinstein, celebrating these things. They're not going to do that, but you guys want to protect them and make excuses of them. That's ridiculous.
I'm not celebrating a man or
I'm sorry,
advocating pedophilia in any way. I'm not even talking about the pedophilia. I'm talking about the pressure he went through to maintain his lifestyle.
What pressure was it to put on pantyhose? What pressure was it to put on pantyhose?
Exactly. You're talking about someone who was making a living as an entertainer. One of the easiest things that someone can do to make a lot of money in a short amount of time.
Being an entertainer is easy.
I think that it's a whole lot easier than being a sanitation worker, which is what a lot of Black men were doing, than being a construction worker, and afforded you a whole hell of a lot better of a lifestyle. And so, no, I'm not going to make excuses for someone to use drugs. But you are. You literally are making excuses for him and saying that that's the only way that he could find a solace was doing drugs, because he was going into a war zone by getting on a stage and putting on pantyhose.
What I'm saying is, how do we know what he was going through in his creative process? How do we know what was shot down when he suggested, Geraldine is funny, do her. We don't like this. They want her. That's what I'm saying. As far as his professional life, his personal life is terrible. I'm not advocating that. Did I ever say anything was correct with that?
No, I didn't say you said it was correct. I'm saying that you're making excuses for why he did what he did. And that's not the same as saying that it's correct.
I'm not making any excuse for his personal life. I'm saying his professional life. Do you think writing jokes, having social commentary is easy? When you make suggestions and these people that you're sitting across from in a room do not look like you, and they're shooting your suggestions down. These are the same people that are patting you on the back. 2 days ago, here it is, 3 days from then, and they're slapping you in the face. Put the dress on.
Okay, so being someone who's worked in corporate America, being someone who's worked in construction and has made a lot less and has been under the same kind of pressure as this, having to take orders from white people, because frankly, that's what you do in this country if you want a job, because they are the people who have the jobs.
Yes.
I'm going to say, and being a single woman, not having any advantages of just being a man, and people will listen to you just because you're a fucking man. No, I don't have any sympathy for that. I've never had to turn to drugs, but I've had people, literally the government of the United States, on my back because their project is behind schedule and we need you to get this turned out. And yeah, I made a nice living, made nice little 6 figures doing it, but I didn't make the kind of money that Flip Wilson made. And I would have done anything to be able to just, I don't know, go dress like a man and tell some jokes instead of having to sit there and face the same kind of people you're talking about.
Then in some way you understand it.
And may I ask a question?
I do understand that. I feel what I'm saying is that it never made me turn to drugs. So I can't understand that. That's a weak ass bitch if you got to turn to drugs because some people don't like the way that you're telling your jokes unless you wear your dress.
If Medgar Evers didn't turn
to drugs, a product of your environment. The people you hang around do drugs. If you hang around them, you'll eventually start doing it yourself. It depends on your circle and where you are.
So then he made poor choices for friends, is what you're saying.
He just made poor choices. At all.
So why should we feel sorry for someone who had an amazing lifestyle who made poor choices?
Generally, he just made poor choices. I'm not making excuses for it. I'm just saying these are examples. Do you think it was easy for him in the 50s and the 60s to even get popularity with a certain group of people? You make sacrifices.
Sir, you know who had it hard? Medgar Evers had it hard. Okay.
Yes, Medgar Evers was right.
Right. These men had it hard because they were actually doing something. Flip Wilson living his, and these men were not wealthy. These men did not have, they were not, at award show. They were not having red carpets rolled out and, photographs of them. These men were fighting for their lives all the time. And you're sitting up here talking about the stress of, this poor dear Black man that had to, go through Hollywood. And I'm just not buying it. Like
it's not an excuse. They're just examples.
It's a very
part of your environment. If your environment is to entertain people, to stay up late and write jokes and make social commentary,
that's a hard life.
A product of that.
That's a hard life. Making jokes is a hard life.
The sacrifices you make are hard. To write jokes, you stay up late, you read the news. What's going on in the news? The Vietnam War is going on. What's going on in the news? Lynching is going on. He's still a Black man.
Wait a minute. I don't even understand how you can bring up the word sacrifice as far as a comedian is concerned and then still bring up the fact that the Vietnam War is going on. Those soldiers sacrificed their lives.
I'm saying it's an emotional toll on him. It's an emotional toll on everyone. Who knows how the people at home felt when their loved ones are over there? Who knows how he felt himself when he looks on the news and sees his people being lynched?
Why are you talking about lynchings as if he was grown? As if we're talking about the Jim Crow? How many lynchings do you think took place in the 70s and 80s, sir?
I thought this was the 50s and the 60s that he came.
How many lynchings do you think took place during that time?
Not many, but I do know. In my area, we had the child murders were going on in the 80s.
There wasn't that many lynchings going on, sir. It wasn't like Black men were walking around in fear of a noose coming around their neck in the 50s. Like, that's not true. And you can't co-opt somebody else's oppression and experiences and use it as an excuse to be degenerate.
Again, I'm not talking about his personal life. I'm talking about the stress he was under as a Black man being an entertainer.
So isn't that his personal life, though? His stress?
That's his professional life. Being a Black man and an entertainer, that's his professional life. The reason he didn't get opportunities is because he was Black.
He didn't get opportunities. Are you kidding me? He was the most famous Black comedian in his time. He had more opportunities than a little bit.
Because he was Black. And as a man, a Black man, people would tolerate you more as a Black man than they would tolerate a Black woman. But it's not acceptance, it's tolerance, to say the most.
Well, I think he got tolerated plenty if he could sit up there and profess his love for a 14-year-old child in a public
since you want to bring up lynching, if that didn't get him lynched, this Negro was all right. He sat up in a public publication talking about how he was going to be blowing kisses to a young white girl on the sidelines at the Olympics. If that didn't get his ass lynched, he was doing A-OK. And he wasn't feeling any pressure about what he had to say. And he wasn't worried about what any white man had to say about him saying that.
And that was dangerous too. Living on the razor's edge.
Apparently it wasn't dangerous. What repercussions did he face because he said that? None. That's why we're talking about it today. He wasn't strung up from a tree after he said that.
No, he wasn't, but the potential was there.
Apparently it wasn't.
He was bucking at the system, but was he still in Romania when he said that? Or was he in America when he said that?
Does it matter? Does it matter? Seriously, does it matter?
It would seem so. The other countries are more tolerant than this country is.
You must be out of your mind, sir.
Oh my God.
Other countries are more tolerant.
No, they're not. Do you know?
I'm not a pedo supporter.
Do you know what happened to Emmett Till's father?
What happened to Emmett Till's father?
He was hung in another country.
Oh, for something very similar. About that.
For something very similar. So, like, it
seems like he was violent too. But was that not part of your story?
Well, it seems like they had a very similar pathology to me.
Mm.
Okay, Damien, thank you for sharing. Let me get our next person up here. If you want to hang out in the
Okay, I
back,
didn't mean
in
to
the back,
upset
then
y'all.
come.
I
No,
didn't
no,
mean to
no,
upset y'all.
no.
And
We're
we're
not
not
upset.
talking
If
about his
you want to
personal
come
life
back,
at
come
all.
back. But thank you though. But hold on. If you want to come back, I'm just going to remove you from the stream. But you don't have to go away. If you want to come back, I'd love to pick your brain.